Story time. I have a really cool story time for you. Right now it's like 11 o'clock at night and I'm having a mixed drink. Um, this is vodka mixed with Crystal Light. Um, sorry, there's someone in my hallway. It's a little loud. But anyway, so this is about the time that I astral projected into a different dimension. And it really was a different dimension. I was or I shouldn't say dimension, that's just what I refer to it as. But it was no, it really was an alternate dimension because it wasn't this Earth, but it was an alternate Earth. That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, this was about I would say it was about 5 years ago. I would say like 2019. So I think it was about 5 years ago. I was living in a group home. I have a past. um, I lived in a group home for about 4 years. And when I was living there, I mean, I've been a witch my whole life. Like, literally, as far back as I can remember, I've been practicing the craft. So, I remember 5 years ago, I was living in a group home and I was in my bedroom and I was lying in bed and I was actively trying to astral project. Like, this wasn't like an accident, this wasn't something that snuck up on me. Like, I was trying to, right? And I think the best way to astral project is to lie down in bed, motionless, in a comfortable position, and just let magic take over. That's the thing that people don't understand. Like, when you're trying to make things happen, you have to not try to make them happen. Like, it's not about what you're doing, it's about what magic is doing. Like, you can't, when you're trying to astral project, you just have to let go and let God. Let God do what he's going to do. You have to understand that if you're trying to astral project to a different planet, a different dimension, a different realm, you have to just let it happen. You can't try to, because you don't know where it looks like. You don't know what it looks like where you're going. You don't know what it looks like. You don't know where it is. You have to just let God take you there, right? So anyway, I'm getting off track. So I was in a group home. This is 5 years ago. I've said that 10 times now. um, I was lying in my bed trying to astral project, and I did, into an alternate dimension. And it was like an alternate Earth because, let me just explain. So, the group home I was living in, there was a house next door. It was like a big house, painted yellow, and when I astral projected, you know, one thing I knew, or what's the expression? Anyway, one moment I'm in my bed trying to astral project, and all of a sudden I was spirited away into an alternate world. And all of a sudden I was standing up in front of the house next to my group home. So the yellow house that I was just talking about. The big yellow house next to my group home, and I looked over and it was nighttime, which, by the way, when I was trying to astral project, it was daytime. So, for one thing I know, I'm in my bed in my group home. The next thing I know, it's nighttime and I'm standing in front of the yellow house and I'm like, and I knew what was happening. I knew I succeeded. Like, I was like, oh my God, it worked. And so I looked around. It was nighttime, but I could still see fine because the yellow house had like like not a lamp, like a light, like a not a night light, but like a spotlight. What, I don't know what they call them. You know, the lights that you have next to your front door to shine into the driveway so you can see what you're doing. One of those lights was on, and in the yellow house, like I said, it's a big house. The front door was open, and there were a lot of people in there, and there was a house party going on. And I thought, and this is so sick, but when at the time in the group home, I was on probation and I was not allowed to drink alcohol. I have a past. Okay, listen, don't judge me. But I was on probation and I was not allowed to drink. So I thought, okay, I'm in a different dimension. I can probably drink now because I knew that like I wasn't attached to my body anymore. I knew my body was back in on Earth like, and it's funny because I still was sort of on Earth, but it was just a different, it was like an alternate Earth. So anyway, I fully intended to drink because I thought, okay, I'm nowhere near my real body, so I can drink. So, and I, like I said, like I knew that I was actively astral projecting. And so and now I'm just kind of in a, like an exploring mode. So I go into the group, I mean, not the group home, I go into the yellow house and I was a little skeptical at first because I'm like, well, I'm not even sure what world I'm in. I don't know any of these people, but I thought God took me here, so everything's gonna be okay. So I go into the house, and there's people everywhere. You know, people are drinking and fucking around. And I saw my sister, one of my sister Carrie, and she was sitting on a couch talking to other people who I didn't recognize. I didn't know who they were, but um, I went over to her and I was like, "Hey, Carrie," because I mean, I'm astral projecting, so I'm like, well, I see someone I know. Let's just see where this storyline leads. And like, I can't stress this enough. I knew, I knew what was happening. This was not a dream. Dreams are different. When you're dreaming, you could be Napoleon Dynamite and you just think that's who you are. I knew that I was Marco Scanlon. I was I was astral projecting. Anyway, so I see my sister Carrie and I'm just wondering what's going on. So I go over to her and I'm like, "Hey, Carrie," and she was looking at me like she didn't know who I was. And I said, Do you know who I am?" And she said, "No." And I was like, "I'm your brother, Marco." And she did not know me. And I thought, okay, this is weird. So, and that's when I knew, because so far up until that point, because in the astral projection, I was next door. So I was in the house next to where I was currently living. So once Carrie told me that she didn't know who I was, I thought, okay, this is like an alternate like world that is similar to Earth, but it's different because she doesn't know me. Anyway, so she didn't know who I was, but she was really nice to me, and that's what kind of clued me into this a little bit because in this alternate world, stuff like this must happen a lot because Carrie, I mean, I think her name was Carrie because she responded to me that way. But, she offered to go get me a drink and she was really nice to me. I mean, personally, even though I practice witchcraft and I do all this stuff, if somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, hi, Marco, I'm your brother," and I didn't know them, I'd be like, "Who are you?" Like, but she wasn't like that. She was just very nice to me. Even though I just accused her of being my sister, she was not like rude about it. Right. So she got me a beer, which by the way, it was the most disgusting beer I've ever had. But I didn't know what to do because I was in like this whole different world and I was like I wasn't even invited to this party. I literally, for all I fucking know, I'm like intruding. So I just walked into somebody's house. You know, like I didn't know anybody there. I mean, I thought I knew Carrie, but apparently she didn't know me in this world, so whatever. But you know, I didn't want to just be like, "Oh, this beer is disgusting. Like, I'm not going to drink this." Like, I just drank it, but it was really gross. And then there was a poodle, a white poodle. It was like one of the big poodles, not like a mini one, but like a normal one. And in my real life, I put that in quotations because this was a real world that I went to. I saw it clear as day. But in this world that I'm in right now, like as I record this video, I've never seen a white poodle, but in I saw a white poodle. I mean, or at least that's it might have been a different breed or whatever they would call it, but it looked just like a regular poodle, but it was white. And I was like petting it. I could smell its nasty breath, but I'm like petting it. I do like dogs, even though they might have bad breath. I still love them a lot. So I'm like petting the dog, and all of a sudden, and it's hard it's hard to talk about, but like suddenly I was back in the group home, like because somebody was knocking at my door, and it kind of snapped me out of the astral projection. And it was the manager of the group home. She was knocking on my door. I forget what she was. I forget what she wanted, but I went and answered the door and I talked to her or whatever. Whatever. But and so anyway, that's where it ended. I was petting a dog, drinking a nasty beer with someone who I thought was my sister, but in this world she was a stranger to me. But anyway, it's kind of sad because like you know, I don't know if I'll ever go back to that world. And, that girl, Carrie, or, her name was Carrie, but she wasn't my sister in this world. But it's just kind of sad because she was so nice to me. And, like, I remember when I snapped out of it and when I was back in my world in the group home talking to the manager lady, I'm thinking, man, I just did something so incredible and so unbelievable, and I may never see her again. Like I may never see that Carrie again. And it was just kind of like a sad feeling. It's almost like I don't know. I don't know, but it was kind of sad because it's like I'll never see her again. Probably. I mean, maybe someday I'll astral project again and I'll see the same Carrie, but I mean, whatever. Anyway, so that is the story about the time that I astral projected into a different dimension. I hope you liked this video. I know this was very confusing because it's a very confusing subject because I'm talking about something that is like so wild, but it is something that I truly went through. So anyway, I love you guys. And if you want to support my channel, there are links in the description that will allow you to do so. And I am going to upload this video now, and I'm going to have a few more sips of my drink, and I'll make some more videos in a few minutes. Anyway, love you guys. Stay witchy. And like I said, if you ever want to astral project, what you do, don't sit cross-legged on the floor. That is not the way to do it. If you want to astral project, there are two things you need to know. First of all, lie down in bed in a comfortable position and don't move. Second of all, let go. Just allow God to take you away. You're not going to be able to do this on your own. You will not be able to do this on your own. You can't force this to happen. You need to lay down in bed and give yourself up to the forces of magic and allow magic to sweep you away. And that's how it's done. All right? Bye.